Did you hear that? Put your hands up if you're a big Joe Aitken fan. Yes, we're all here tonight to celebrate one of our great pals and one of Scotland's finest traditional singers and singers of Bothy ballads. Of course, a Kirrie man. Yeah. He's lived in Kirrie since he was 8-year-old, I think. And myself and a lot of us up here primarily know him through the music, and also for his role. He was one of the leading lights in Kirrie. Well, he never missed a Kirrie festival, really, Joe. And we thought it would be a great thing to sort of have a Richt Light tribute concert to him. And we're very chuffed that you've all turned up. We're going to have a great night. We're going to sort of, lots of great songs and tunes and just people's personal stories and memories of Joe. We've got lots of the folk together who really kent him over the years, who played and sung with him both at a kind of local level, read the book Kirrie, and nationwide and across Britain and what have you. And I'm Scott, and I help run the Kirrie Festival, and I'm joined on the sort of MC in front by two of Kirrie Festival's senior MCs. Is that? Natalie maybe doesn't like that. And they're going to help us as well. So I'm going to hand you over to Alan, who's going to tell you a bit more about the night.
Thank you, Scott. Right, I've got the exciting job of doing the housekeeping bit. So the fire exits, there's no fire planned, so if you hear the fire alarm, you need to get out. So behind you, out through the two doors, there's one door you came in, and there's another door to the right that you can get out, so that's the fire. If you've got a mobile phone, can you please either switch it off or put it on to silent? What else was I telling you? Oh, the bar is now closed until half time, but the bar will open again at half time, and it will close in the second half, and will open again once the concert's finished. So there's plenty of time after that for refreshments and stuff. If you've kind of got raffle tickets, you can buy them at half time as well. And the only other thing you need to do is enjoy yourself. I'm sure we're going to do that. So, Scott and I will leave you in the capable hands of your MC for the first half, Natalie Chalmers.
So, when Scott and the committee were planning out, right, they want to do a concert and we want to do it in memory of Joe, and he started thinking about, right, so if I was his closest friends and if I should we get to perform at the night. And very quickly the list grew and continued to grow. So we've got a big lineup the night for you to try and get through. So what we're going to do is Abdi's going to come out in groups like this wonderful lot modelling for me here. And each of them will sing a song or play a couple of tunes for you, and each set will sort of be managed by their own individual MC. So I'll come on and introduce in the first half each MC, and they can take it from there. So to get you started, and without further ado, Mr. Jordan Murison.
Fiddle folks, thank you, Pardon family and Scott for inviting us along to this special occasion. It's great to be here. And I think Scott should maybe get a special round of applause actually. Joe Aitken. I think I first met Joe singing at the festivals and thinking, my God, I felt like he was singing songs that I liked, and he also had this amazing voice which just grabbed you with great tone and clarity, and thought it was fine. And then there was one night I met this man, I had my hair with Chance Jim Taylor at a pub, believe it or not, and he suggested I could belong to TMSA, and of course his uncle Tom was there, and Tom and Jim was already friends with Joe, so the privilege of meeting Pat and all the family, and suddenly the big circle of friends grew and grew and grew. It was Donaldson's, all kinds of tailors and shearers, and everybody here is where everybody's a friend, and everybody will hear a story about Joe the Nacht. But I might just tell one or two stories. Of course, we were doing fine, and then Ian Russell come along and they started the Killarney, that got born the Killarney Festival, and English and Irish and Island folk began to discover Joe Aitken. So he then got invited to all sorts of outlandish places, and I was sometimes trailed along with him. So we did Dorset, London, Sidmouth, Suffolk, Whitby, well, just all by Celtic. We had Orkney, Ireland, Dublin. So there's one wee story of mine, and it come back this year. This was about 20 years ago. The country comes to town. We were down in London, and the Queen's out shopping, and so me and Joe thought we can wander out to the big city and get a carry out. We come back, and we were kind of merrily drinking a while, and Pat comes in and says, "Do you realise that's non-alcoholic lager you're drinking?" And worse than that, they didn't tell Darby about it. So it was actually in Ireland this year, and we got that story related to me. I was getting wound up about it. That was one of them. And of course, we ended up, we ended up in the Barrowlands in Glasgow. They were doing this kind of film thing, and Sheila was a big part of that, Sheila Stewart. And I mean, we were getting on the stage, and Joe looked at me and he says, "Jordy, how the F did we ever land here?" that was one of them. And we ended up, we get Ed Edmondson. He got a good way on the little thing, and he was cooking different meals, and we were summoned to Stirling Castle, and he was making cockaliki soup, and we were actually we were singing the Mucking of Geordie's Bay. So I think I'll maybe just start with that to get you going. It's a chorus, so I'd like to hear you. Okay, here we go. At the little craft upon the hill, iron and yoke-faced Proddy's Mel, tried all his life the time to kill. Lived Geordie McIntyre, he'd a wife as sweet as himself, a doth of his blocks all like himself. They had some fun, had a war the smell of the mucking of Geordie's Bear. The grape was tipped, the besom was deed, the bar wouldn't the row would sleep. Sick in a sauce that never was seen at the mucking of Geordie's Bear. Knew the daughter sweet, the stray and deep, the all-wife started to swipe the greep. Geordie fell squite when I wrote a neep at the mucking of Geordie's Bear. Barely grape come Geordie Sue, she stood up ahead the coo. A coo could have kicked it out and offered a stew at the mucking of Geordie's Bear. The grape was tint, the besom was dean, the bar wouldn't the row would spleen. Sick in a sauce that never was seen at the mucking of Geordie's Bear. Knew the all-wife, she was booing doon, the Sioux got kicked on the croon, stuck its head up the wifey's goon, bam through Geordie's Bear. A daughter come through the barn door, seeing her mother let out a roar. To the midden she ran, fell over the board at the mucking of Geordie's Bear. The grape was tint, the besom was dean, the bar wouldn't the row its lean. Sick in a sauce that never was seen at the mucking of Geordie's Bear. Knew the boar, he looked the midden dyke, sign o'er the rigs we Geordie's take. The baith run in till a Bumby's bike at the mucking of Geordie's Bear. The cocks and hens began to craw, Betty astride the Sioux the saw. The post the shelty run awa for the mucking of Geordie's Bear. The grape was tint, the besom was dean, the bar wouldn't the row its lean. Sick in a sauce that never was seen at the mucking of Geordie's Bear. Knew 100 years it's past and mair, for Sprotty's whiz, the hell it's bare. The crafts awa, you'll see nae mair o' the mucking of Geordie's Bear. Folk are deed and a wall long sign, but in case his memory ye should time, just What's the last tune to keep you in mind of the mugging of Geordie's Bayers your last chance? The grape was tight, the besom was dean, the barrack wouldn't the row would swing. The sickness sauce that never was seen at the mugging of Geordie's Bayers. Thank you. Well, next up we've got a great friend of the festival scene and a friend of Joe's, and matchless on the booth organ, the one and only Murray Douglas, ladies and gentlemen.
Joe, I first met him, I think it must have been about 30 years ago, and I've been awful pleased to be friends of Joe, part in the family, and that's what I'm saying.
Thank you, Maria. It's absolutely brilliant. Maria Douglas, ladies and gentlemen. Yay! Scott, of course, was saying Joe had never missed a Kirrie festival, but there was one year Joe and I was asked to do a thing on the Friday night at Kirrie festival up at Bothy Garden. Now, the family all carried on, we never hurled with Joe in the car. He was the most impeccable driver, and if only passed him when he was doing the speed limit, he would say, "That boy's got a bloody exemption for the speed limit." But anyway, that night, the concert didn't finish till 10:30. And it's a Gaelic kind of thing. It was never asked back, and I can why, but anyway. And I'll tell you, Joe got out of that car and he could do the A9 like a bat to hell. And run all the back roads to get back to Kirrie, because I think he was chairman as well. He was chairman at that time. And I didn't have the hair to say to him, "Have you got an exemption for the speed limit?" Anyway, so next up, we've got the lovely Kirrie Taylor. Now, Kate's been friends with Joe and Pat for years and years and years, and I think she's one of the finest female singers in the scene at the moment. Kate Taylor!
Thank you, Geordie. That's right, Pat and Joe have been friends of ours for almost 40 years, and in that time we've had so much fun and laughter. We've been so many places, and it's just been really lovely, and to have had them in our lives has been very special. So I was actually going to speak about this one time. Well, there's lots of things I remember, but this is one time I think I could share it. I was very late. We were all going on holiday, a great heap of us, and I hadn't ever flown, and I was really quite nervous, quite scared. However, Pat and Joe, being their usual lovely selves, said, "Come with us, you'll be all right." Because they were our seasoned travellers. So there was us sitting in the middle, holding hands, and carried on so noisy. And anyway, eventually I said, "I don't think it was very relaxed because they were both there." I said, "It's not really as bad as I thought. It's quite smooth, isn't it?" And Joe looked round kind of laughing and said, "Katie, when I left the runway." So we got a lot of mileage out of that one. But anyway, I was relaxed and got on fine. And I want to sing now, "Say Will We Yet." Okay. Come sit down, my cronies, and gie us your crack. Let the world take the cares o' this life on its back. Our hearts take despondency, we never will submit. For we've aye been provided for, and say will we yet, and say will we yet, and say will we yet. We've aye been provided for, and say will we yet. So fill us a tankard on a brune ale. He'll comfort our hearts and enliven the tale, and we'll all be the merrier the longer that we sit. For we've drunk together mony's a time, and say will we yet, and say will we yet, and say will we yet. We've drunk together mony's a time, and say will we yet. Here's a health to the farmer, and prosper his plume, rewarding his idle toil all the year through. For it's seed time and harvest we ever will get, for we've lipened aye to Providence, and say will we yet, and say, will we yet, and say, will we yet, for we Philip and I take Providence, and say, will we yet. So fill up your glass, let the bottle king room, for the sun it will rise, though the moon has gone down, and though the room be running round about, it's time enough to flit. When we fell, we I got up again, and say, will we yet, and say, will we yet, and say, will we yet. When we fell, we I got up again, and say, will we yet.
Thank you so much, Kate Taylor. Lovely. It's lovely hearing you guys singing out there, audience. Lovely, well done. It's a great chorus that's coming back up here. And next in line, we've a man that introduced me to this scene, Jim Taylor here. We did Joe some, we shared stages, we probably have been here, or most folk. We often get out as trios with different combinations. There was Scott and sometimes Joe and sometimes Alan Taylor and Jim Taylor here. But there was a certain, I think Jill and Stuart Duncan took a notion when Jim and Joe and me were going about, and they took us thing at Darlin one night, and there was just a recording of Joe, Jim and Geordie, and the title here is Six Legs Looking for a Party. So, that's all they left, so let's hear it for Jim Taylor.
Thank you, Geordie. The voice could be a wee bit rock kind of night. It's usually at the end of the weekend that it's rock, but it's started off as it means to go on, I think. We kent Banjo a lot of years now, as Kate said, and back in the time before they had a motorhome, when they were still towing a caravan, and Joe had been up in the north east somewhere with a caravan, and after the weekend finished, he says, it doesn't really make sense to take the van. We'll go back to Kirrie, because we'll be up here again the following week to another festival. And I says, well, leave it with me. And he says, that'll be all right. I says, I ain't but there's room for it. So he parked up a caravan, and he was going to walk back, and I was going to walk, just getting in with a motor. And I says to Joe, are you not feared to leave it here like you can? This is not a campsite for security or anything. No, he says, I've not once about it of. He says, I've got an anti-intruder device. I says, oh, that'll sort that out. So they were just going to go out to the gate, and I said, I'm going to nip around and see if that's anti-intruder devices are good. And there's a poster up in one of the windows. It says, all the alcohol in this caravan has been removed. That's the kind of fun and banter we used to have all the time. It was great. Great memories. So I'm just going to sing a wee song. It's after hearing my uncle Tom Reid singing it. It's his version. I got the words for him. Slightly different, but it's a Breza Brenal. Oh, well do I remember my old school days, down by the Barney, dear and Amaclays, down by the Barney for its iron and still, down by by the Borneo on the braes o Brunel. Now if ye hae a bonny lass, I'll tell ye for to gang for a ramble, and as ye gang along, ask her for to be your wife and take her at her will. Down by the Borneo on the braes o Brunel, for the braes o Brunel, the right glad we wins. Some blowing daisies and the flinging stains, the cuckoo crying and the roaring o' the ball. It makes you more contented on the braes o Brunel. Now folks I'm growing all, and I'm sorry for to say, my step it's turning shorter, and my hair is growing grey. But just afore we gang awa, we'll hae another jill, and we'll drink to the health of Scotland on the braes o Brunel, for the braes o Brunel, the right glad we wins. Some blowing daisies and the flinging stains, the cuckoo crying and the roaring o' the ball. It makes you more contented on the braes o Brunel.
Thank you, Graham. Some good stories and memories here. Jim Taylor, eh? Great voice. Thank you, Graham. Now, I'm going to say about this man here, Kirrie, born and bred, very much part of Kirrie, and well, as you can, the festival time, the unique venue was Big George and Mary. They were the hosts of that lovely venue. Sometimes I got stuck in there on a Saturday afternoon. I may get into that stories, but and of course Mary was very much part of the festival. I never forgot a hug from Mary. It was yes, you were well, you were into Rockster and fechting for breath. But anyway, great box player George. We've got a few tunes. Let's hear it for George Rennie.
Well, I want to say a few words as well, because actually it stems back to before I even played the box, that obviously my family and your family were friends, and my father and Joe were in the fire brigade together, amongst many others. Some are probably here tonight. I see you in the back there, Craig. But actually, this is quite a funny wee story. So, as a youngster, it was me and Alan Thompson and Scott Garner as well. We used to go out with Joe and do concert parties. And I got quite excited about this because my mum and dad here in the shop, they had a van, but Joe got a brand new Cavalier. Do you mind that back, the dark blue? Aye? That sticks in my mind, you know. And I can't remember what age it was about 1989 I think it was. It'd been there about an F Reg, I think. Aye, I think you're right, aye. So, and I thought, oh yes, we're going to, like, Joe's got his brand new car, you know. I wasn't worried about the plane, you can. So I was stuck in the back of this van travelling away with my mum and dad. So it was like executive travel, you can. So, but actually, Joe was a real gentleman because he looked after us youngins when we were out and about, you know, and getting our haggis neeps and tatties at Burnsupper and a wee thimble full of whiskey in it when we were still at school, you can. He really looked after us, you know. So, but no, seriously, Joe was a real gentleman, and, you know, what he did for everybody, he had time for everybody, you know, and that's the one thing that I remember about Joe the most, that he'd come and picked you up and you went away and you did your wee tune and that for the elderly or the Red Cross, and you know, he had a busy lifestyle with the farm and his family, and he still made time for other people. So that's my thoughts on Joe. So.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. It's been a great pleasure to be part of this. That's coming for us here at the back. We've taken a different road for coming, so cheerio and enjoy.
Another big hand for Murray Douglas, Dave Taylor, Jim Taylor, George Reddy, led by Jordy Unison. I said that the list from the committee was organising this event was growing and growing and growing. Well, it just showed how many pals that Joe had. So that's why I've had to do some logistics there and bring out even more chairs. But with so many to get through, I'm going to cut to the chase and get to the next lot, and that's going to be led by none other when he gets on stage past everybody else, Steve Byrne.
Good evening, folks. Well, it's great to see a full house here in Kirrie. Growing up in Arbroath, Joe was one of these celebrities, these real kind of singers that came for the kind of Kirrie for a while. And kind of we were sitting there in Arbroath getting jealous with, we better do something about that. So we got in and amongst and learned some of the songs over the years. And I had the great privilege of a few occasions to share the stage with Joe. There was a time when I think my band, Malinky, and Joe had both won something at the Trad Awards, and we found ourselves on BBC Alaba the next year, where we were trying to keep up with him singing Neeps to Cluck. So there's somewhere in the archives of BBC Alaba a version of me trying to keep going with Joe on the bouzouki, and a bunch of lads that had never heard the song before, but it hasn't seen the light of day ever since. And we've had various songs at Angus, singers and musicians for Angus concerts over the years with Scott Gardner and myself, and just I am privileged to be on the go with Joe. And none more so than the time when in 2017 I was asked to put together a concert party, not just to gang round on the pensioners clubs, but to gang to Germany. And it was the Rudolstadt World and Traditional Music Festival in Germany in the summer of 2017, and I was asked to represent the different traditions of Scotland, and I thought, well, no better man for the Bothy and the North East Sang tradition than Joe. And he was in his element, and the great part of the whole thing was him getting to ken other singers on the bill. So he made great friends with the likes of Myron Stewart and Murdo MacDonald, brilliant Gaelic singers from Lewis, and great friendships were struck out that weekend. And we had Paul and Shona with us as well, and fond days and brilliant memories of Joe just singing. You could hear a pin drop in this marketplace. There was about 10 times as many folk as there is here tonight, and Joe was just singing out into the German summer air. It was a real privilege to have given him that platform. However, here we have a great array of folks ahead me the night, and the first singer is a wonderful collector and has done very much himself over his lifetime to ensure the continuation of the tradition as a collector, and indeed as Joe's first record company boss with Springtime Records. So please welcome for a song, Pete Shepherd.
Yes, that was the first recording I made of Joe. But Joe's been a great friend. We've met him at so many festivals over the years. I'm also been involved in running the Fife Sing Festival, traditional singing festival, which goes on in May, a couple of weeks' time. And Joe's been guest there several times. But I was very pleased to make that recording back in 1988 it was. It seems like a long time ago, but I've been making recordings of singers for about 50 years. So. But the song I'm going to sing, even longer ago than that, I first met this man by the name of Archie Webster, who was a ploughman all his life and had the Clydesdale was his pride and joy, the Clydesdale horses, working on a farm just outside St Andrews. I met him in the village hall of Strathkinnis, and I can just imagine, if you can imagine yourself back at that time, listening to this man singing this song and joining in the chorus, praising the days that had passed. Oh, come all ye young ploughboys that'll list to my tale, as you sit round the tables a-drinking your ale. I'll take ye all back to your far distant day, when I drove the last Clydesdales that worked on Denbury. When I drove the last Clydesdales that worked on Denbury. There were 12 bonny blacks with white faces and feet. In the halo of the road, they could never be beat. You can look at the guy far, twixt the Forth and the Tay, for to match they to our Clydesdales, the pride of Denbury. For to match they to our Clydesdales, the pride of Denbury. For they were matchless in power in the Kert or the Plew. The voice and the hand on the range they well knew. There was never a thought in their minds but obey. Oh, my tall gallant Clydesdales, the pride of Denbury. Oh, my tall gallant Clydesdales, the pride of Denbury. We arise in the morning, and the lark singing gay, a whistle to wing my horses all day. I feed them and corn them safe through, and it's on with the tackle and the water the blue. It's on with the tackle and the water the blue. At the time it wears on, and the winters grow cold, and horses like men can they not but grow old. But I mind on them still, though it were yesterday, when I drove the last Clydesdales that worked on Denbury. When I drove the last Clydesdales that worked on Denbury.
Fantastic stuff. Pete Shepherd there, folks. Thank you very much. So as we've heard already tonight, Joe was a great man for travelling around and singing to all herts and perts, and singing festivals of all kinds would be where you would meet up with all pals from different parts of the country. So we've got some guests now from the southwest of Scotland to give us a song. So please welcome Phyllis Martin and Tam and Agnes Whiteman.
Now, about 40, I think, and the only thing I can say about Joe Aitken was he was a man that nobody ever forget. He was a very good man. And a great
he was a man that married the best woman he could have. That's true. Thank you.
I hate to tell you this part, but when we go home, I'm leaving him waiting.
What are you crying for?
Well, the song that we're going to sing for you, it was collected by a chap called Joe Griffith. And it's a song that he wrote after taking a party at students around Scotland, and how much they enjoyed it. And so Rob wrote this song, and it's called The Forest of Glenmore, and it's got a great chorus, so we'll start off with the chorus. Oh, I wish that I could walk again the land I used to know, where the pines of Caledonia stand fast against the snow, where every birch and rowan grows fairer than before, and the winter green is flowering in the forest of Glen. winter green is flowering, as summer comes to pass. Oh, I wish that I could walk again the land I used to know, where the pines of Caledonia stand fast against the snow, where every birch and rowan grows fairer than before, and the winter green is flowering in the forest of Glenmore. Some things fade from memory, whilst others will remain, and when my spirit wanders, I'll walk those ways again. My dreams will take me northward to where the melon flies, and the winter green is flowering as June turns to July. Oh, I wish that I could walk again the land I used to know, where the pines of Caledonia stand fast against the snow, where every birch and rowan grows fairer than before, and the winter green is flowering in the forest of Glenmore. Summer comes out with the sun, my fantasies must fly, but those who look toward me, I cannot pass them by, and I'll recall those hours, and in my heart they'll stay, and the winter green is flowering, though I am far away. Oh, I wish that I could walk again the land I used to know, where the pines of Caledonia stand fast against the snow, where every birch and rowan grows fairer than before, and the winter green is flowering in the forest of Glenmore. Oh, I wish that I could walk again the land I used to know, where the pines of Caledonia stand fast against the snow, where every birch and rowan grows fairer than before, and the winter green still flowering in the forest of Glenmore.
Great stuff. Thanks again to Phyllis Martin and Tam and Agnes Whiteman. So I referred earlier to concert parties. Well, our next guest is someone who is a mainstay of the Kirrie pensioners' Christmas party, along with someone else who may have partaken over the years. I keep hearing about this legendary party. I never get invited, Scott. You need to sort that out. So to give us a couple of pipe matches, 6-8 matches on the accordion, please welcome Joyce Cocker.
Well, I first got to know Joe when my brother-in-law was a fireman with him in Kirrie, and Joe was station officer. And through that, I got invited to play at the fire station Christmas parties. where Santa arrived in the fire engine, and my son, who would only be about 5 or 6 at the time, said, "Santa speaks awful like Francie Payton that drives our school bus, Mum." Of course not, Duncan, of course not. It's Santa Claus. Also discovered that we lived in the house that Joe lived in when he was younger at Wester Cardine. I'm not sure how many of the rest of you were there. And as Steve very kindly said, it rolled on to be invited to join the very illustrious Kirrie pensioners Christmas party group. But Joe was very encouraging, and I've also been at Kirrie Festival and various things. I've been out with Joe many times and just thoroughly enjoyed his company and that wonderful singing voice that he has. I'm sure I had something else to say, but I can't remember. Anyway, a couple of 6/8 marches.
Couple of great 6/8s there. We had John D. Burgess, named after the wonderful piper, and Lord Macpherson of Dromoctor. Let's hear it again for Joyce Cocker. So our next guest is a fellow competitor over many years at the Bothy ballad competitions across the Erts and Perts, and he hails from Peterhead and is a mainstay of the Buchan Heritage Society, and is going to give us a good Buchan song for the next team. So please welcome Bill Gray.
That's fine, buddy. You just really extends that height, eh? That's what you hear when you take your bros in the morning. Well, good evening, Abdi. I'm delighted to be here for this very special night.
I first met Joe back in 2003 when I entered my second Bothy ballad competition. My first name was at the Bucking Heritage, and I was so nervous I never even get through the second verse of Bogey's Bonnie Bell. But fortunately, I sung it that year, and I was fortunate enough to win. I met Joe at the winner's concert, so he said, "How you come up to Kirrie Thistle in the afternoon, Bill, the Sunday afternoon?" So up I goes. He said, "Before you get to Peter Reid," he said, "I've got something for you." And I thought, "Oh, you'll be giving us some of the berries, he grouse." But no, it was something a lot better than that. I'm not saying Joe's berries were good. He says, "There's something in this envelope for you. Take it home, put it down your player, and learn some grand songs." So I've been indebted to Joe ever since. And such a wonderful man, so encouraging, because I was a country singer and grew some sense and decided to sing folk songs, proper songs. So tonight I'm going to sing a whaling song because I've come to the fishing port of Kirrie, and this is one of the favourite songs, the whaling songs from Bothy. Farewell to Bothy, to Mormon Hill, and the dear land of Kirrie, I bid ye farewell. I am bound now for Greenland and ready to sail, and the hope to find riches are hunting the whale. Adieu to my comrades, for a while we must part, and likewise the true love, a fair one by heart. The cold ice of Greenland, my love, it won't chill, and the longer my absence, the more loving she'll feel. Our ship is well rigged and ready to sail, our crew, they are anxious to follow the whale. Well, the iceberg do float and the stormy wind blow, and the land and the ocean is covered with snow. Oh, the Gold Coast of Greenland is barren and bare, nasty time nor harvest is ever known there. Well, the birds they sing sweetly o'er mountain and dale, and there is no birdie to sing to the whale. There is no habitation for a man to live there, and the king of that country is the fierce Greenland bear. And there'll be no temptation to tarry long there, we're ship of the fool, it's homeward repaired. So farewell to Bothy, adieu Mormon Hill, and the dear land of Kirrie, I bid ye farewell. I am bound now for Greenland and ready to sail, in the hope to find riches are hunting the whale.
Bill Gray, folks. Thanks again, Bill. So our final guest, but by no means least, is another member of the Kirrie singing firmament, and somebody I've known for over 20 years. In fact, we worked planning some Angus Council festivals from her house here in Kirrie when I was just a young thing, and we've had various singing gatherings over the years and worked together. And she's also been bringing Joe into a lot of the work that she's done over the years, and I'll let her speak for herself in that regard. The wonderful Christine Kidd.
He's not quite that tall. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, that was great fun, and actually one of those concerts that we organised for the council included Joe, and it was a great privilege and great fun to hear him singing his great songs. And when I arrived in Kirrie at first, Joe, I've lived here now, I can't believe it, for almost 25 years, and he's still young. I have to say. So, can I come to the pensioners thing as well, please? I don't quite know what my role will be. I could probably be one as well as sing for the pensioners. But yeah, so Joe informed me that the house I bought was one that had been owned by his friends as well. And recht enough, when I was doing a bit of decorating, I took off some of the paper and there was Joe Aitken was here on the wall. So, great guy, and I've just called up. I was thinking, wasn't there something? Joe and I appeared at the Kirrie post office, big poster, because we were both put into the traditional music, Scottish Traditional Music Hall of Fame in 2018. So here in Kirrie, at the post office, was a big poster which said, Kirrie Pear earn place in Hall of Fame. So I was thinking, with the farming background, you might think that was twa cuddies, twa horses, rather than... But there you go. So it was me and Joe, and we always had a good crack with each other at the festivals, and of course with Pat as well. There was a nap with Pat as well. So we're going to sing a song that we both love. And actually, it was hearing Joe singing this at the hall in Arbuthnot. Am I allowed to mention another county? Aberdeenshire, up there. And I just want to say, if there's anyone who's related to Thomas Kidd in Glams, will you let me know? Because I discovered when I moved here, I'm a Glaswegian, that I'm related to people from like 10 minutes down the road. So if you recognise that, I'd really like to talk to you, because I appear to have come home. Right, so we're going to do you want to?
Aye, so as many of you will ken, Joe was a great friend of the late great Jim Reid, so we're going to do the Big Angus song with a new take on it, which we're looking forward to.
We are, and we're using a thing that I never used this. I happen to have one in the house, and it's a thing to get our note with. So, and by the way, see if there's another set of tunes. Don't just leave me trying to stop myself from dancing. Please, you could get up and dance, couldn't you? But anyway, not to this one. This is not a dancing one. Here we go.
No, tell me if it was on your roaring Norland wind, as you've come plowing frae the land that's never frae my mind. My feet they travel England, but I'm deeing for the north. My man, I saw the siller tides run up the Firth of Forth. And when I count them wheel and yoke, and find me fall and rise, and fain I'd feel the creeping mist on yonder shore that lies, and tell me as ye pass them by, if saw ye on the way. My man I brought the roving gulls that sail up in the Tay, and sigh beneath them lee and one afore ye come to Fife, for there's muckle lying yon the Tay that's near to me nor life. The man I sweat the youngest race that ye have not trod for years. Oh, and forgive a hameless loon that cannot see for tears, and far above
straats, I saw the wild geese flee. A lang, lang sneen of beaten wings, with a eats to walk the sea. And I that crying voices thrilled, I had them on the air. Oh, when came Missy, had ya wished for a dark listen me?
Steve Byrne. You just should have heard the green room back there. Put a heap of folk singers in a room together, and it was an entire harmonised accompaniment to wild geese back there just now. It was quite beautiful. Just so you came, Pete Shepherd, who was just singing there, so he actually owns Springtime Records. He's recently digitised Joe's CD. It's now available on Bandcamp, but he's also brought a heap of Joe's cassettes, and they're free to help yourselves at the front, so catch them before they're gone. Now I've got another round of performers for you, and after that we'll have a wee quick interval where you can go and top up your glasses. So I'll introduce Mr. Alan Taylor as your next MC.
Thank you very much. If you can please welcome Alan and Carol Pryor, Sheena Wellington and Anne Mitchell for this section. I have to tell you that I'm a proud owner of a Joe Aitken cassette that I inherited from my parents, and the first time that Joe and Pat came to our house, I actually got him to sign it, got his autograph on it, so it's worth about 20 times more than it was without his autograph on it. But, and like Jordy was saying, when we came into this about 19 years ago and quickly became friends with like Joe and Pat, and they welcomed us into their company with some great times together. And Joe introduced me to something called Your Morning. Does anybody care what Your Morning is? It was a fight first year. We didn't have a caravan because I couldn't have reversed to save my life, so we had a motorhome. And it was a Saturday morning at the Buchan Heritage Festival at Strichen. And I just happened to be walking across for the hall with Robbie Shepherd. It was passing Joe's caravan, and he called me, he says, "Oi boys, you better come in for your morning." And I'm going, and Robbie's going, "Aye, no bother, Joe. You better come in along." So I went and the whiskey bottle came out, and I was introduced at my final life lesson was learnt. So been Joe Aitken. So no sure it would be a great thing, but anyway. So, our first performer for this section is somebody very well known and shared the stage with Joe on countless occasions. Please welcome for Dundee, Sheena Wellington.
Is this one working? Is one of them working? This is it. Hello, good evening everybody. I'm vexed with myself that I cannot pinpoint the exact date I first heard Joe Aitken singing, and I should have been able to, because these that'll mind these times will mind that I used to wander about festivals with a tape recorder over my shoulder because I was doing a wee programme for Radio Tay, And the tapes still exist. They're all in a cupboard in the TMSA's office in Edinburgh. And they're actually all digitised. And they're all flipping digitised with the dates on. So sometime in the 1980s, in, I think, the Thrums Hotel at a sing-around, it might have been the early, I heard this glorious voice and thought, well, politely I thought, what a beautiful sound. I think I said bloody hell, actually. But, and I said to Joe, I've recorded you. And he said, you're not going to put it on the radio, are you? And I said, yes, I am. And I'm going to keep putting it on the radio until you get round to recording something yourself. Which he eventually did, of course, and fantastic. And he was just such a wonderful man and a friend and such a talent. And he liked me singing this one. Actually, I think he liked Maureen Jelk's version better. But then I liked Maureen's version better myself, so there was no hard feelings. It's Bonnie Susie Cleland. And I just hope this tickle doesn't go any further. There lives a lady in Scotland, hey my love and oh my joy. There lived a lady in Scotland, what yearly lose me. There lived a lady in Scotland, she's fallen in love with an Englishman. And bonny Susie Cleland to be burned in Dundee. The father to the doctor come, hey my love and oh my joy. The father to the doctor come, what dearly lose me. The father to the doctor come, will ye gie up your Englishman? Or bonny Susie Clemens to be burned in Dundee. I'll know my Englishman forsake, hey my love and oh my joy. I'll know my Englishman forsake, what dearly lose me. I'll know my Englishman forsake, though ye might burn me at the stake. And bonny Susie Clemens to be burned in Dundee. Oh, where will I get a little wee boy, hey my love and oh my joy. Oh, where will I get a little wee boy, what dearly lose me. Oh, where will I get a little wee boy to carry tidings to my joy. That bonny Susie Clemens to be burned in Dundee. Oh, here am I, a little wee boy, hey my love and oh my joy. Oh, here am I, a little wee boy, what dearly lose ye. Oh, here am I, a little wee boy, I'll carry tidings to your joy. That bonny Susie Clemens to be burned in Dundee. Oh, gie to him my right hand glove, hey my love and oh my joy. Oh, gie to him my right hand glove, what dearly lose ye. Oh, gie to him tell him to find some other love. For bonny Susie Claphams to be burned in Dundee, and gie to him my gate gold ring, he my love and oh my joy, and gie to him my gate gold ring, what dearly lose me, gie to him my gate gold ring, tell him I've gone to my burning, and bonny Susie Claphams to be burned in Dundee. Her father he caught up the stake, hey my love and oh my joy. The father he caught up the stake, what dearly lose me. The father he caught up the stake, her brother he the fire did make, and bonny Susie Clement was burned in Dundee.
Superb, Sheena. A big hand again for Sheena Wellington. Right, the next guest singing by some boy. Well, it's me. But in this song, Annie McKelvey. Now, Joe heard Ian Ingram, who wrote the song, singing it. And he came back, it must have been a festival song, and Jim and Geordie and Joe, and there was a buckle. So Joe says, "Aye, goodness, you actually sung it a bit different tune to fit I sing." And he thought for a minute, and then he got that kind of look at Joe had, and he says, "You would have thought the boy would have wrote it when I get the right tune." So, it's the answer to that, really. Oh, Dumbarton's a place far I met Anne McKelvey. She was walking hard off by the shore. Aye, and as we stood talking, the evening was passing, and I took the road back to her door. Do you fancy a night at the dancing we meet, the band in the tune hall, the finest you'll see, and if there's no another place you'd rather be, then come to the dance with me, Annie. She said I'd need a few days to consider your proposal. My mother would have to consent, so I left her that night with a kiss on the doorstep, and back home through Bolin I went. Do you fancy a night at the dancing we meet, the band in the tune hall, the finest you'll see, and if there's no another place you'd rather be, then come to the dance with me, Annie. Well, she finally agreed to come out with me dancing. She would travel, take Clydebank by train. On that cold station platform for hours I stood waiting,
I never saw any again. Do you fancy a night at the dancing we meet? The band in the tune halls, the finest you'll see. And if there's no another place you'd rather be, then come to the dance with me and me. New it's oft times I walk by the banks o' the Leven and follow its flow to the Clyde, when I think on the night spent wi' Annie McKelvey, the lassie founded my pride. Do you fancy a night at the dancing we meet? The band in the tune hall, the finest you'll see. And if there's no another place you'd rather be, then come to the dance with me, Annie. I'll wait at the dance for ye, Annie. Hi, McKelvey. Thank you very much, and brilliantly sung by all, thank you. And we were at the Orkney Folk Festival one year, and I was emceeing at the concert at Harry, and we went to see a show at lunchtime, and one of the bands that were supposed to be playing at the concert I was in at night were ill, so they weren't there. And I jokingly turned to Joe and said, "Going to be funny if they phoned us to ask us to step in for the band that weren't there." Well, about half an hour later, I got a phone call from the director of the festival. Said, "Hi, is Geordie and Joe with you?" "Aye." He said, "Do you think you could fill in for us?" So the thing was, Pat and Joe and Geordie and Joyce had already paid for our tickets for this concert. So when Joe came on the stage, he says, he says, "It's the first time I've ever paid money to look at the audience." So, next up, we have a fantastic fiddle player, and she just reminded me it's on nickel now, nae Mitchell. I just no longer got used to calling her Mitchell, now she's back to nickel, so it's confusing. So, all the way fans, please welcome our nickel.
Does this seem work? Oh, there we go. Hello. What a pleasure to be here tonight. Great to see everybody. It's been fine catching up with folk you haven't seen for ages, so it's been lovely. I feel like I'm tired. Okay, can do it. I see when you were singing Annie McKelvey, I'd came to my dad had been at a festival because for the next week, that's how he would sing. Constant. But you just see this the whole day. Okay, cheers. So, it's been great seeing Abdi again. My first memories of Joe, I think, would have been either Stricken Festival or Keith. My dad dragged me along to these things, and why the heck were we gone to this? Oh, look at us now, we're here. 20 years later, it's been great fun, and now bringing my daughter to these things as well, and she loves them enough, so it's a big family. And I mind when I was younger that, well, we landed in caravans with folk, and we had a bit of a tune and learned some songs, and we just became friends. And when my dad used to leave me, abandon me, how dare he? He went back to like Plue or Combine or something. I get ditched. It was great. It was full of freedom. It was amazing. Never drunk a drop of alcohol. Never, no name of life. Not a drop. But come back and find me quite often food. He enjoyed me soon enough, didn't worry. But the encouragement for not just Joe, but mainly a lot from Joe Aitken, are the festival folk through my career as a musician has been amazing. And I wouldn't be far around the day if it wasn't for them. So I think a lot of us youngins, young, but you can't fit, I mean younger-ish. I'm running away, shush. Yeah, we owe a lot to the festival family. So, yeah. I'm going to play a waltz I wrote actually in memory of my mum, who I think would have also loved the festivals but never got a chance to go to them. She died when I was 11 and I didn't start going to those 12 and a half. So I wrote a tune for her for Shetland when I was up in October. So I'll play that tonight. And then followed with a pipe march, Just Being Real. So that's if it was asked for the caravans. Go play a pipe march, Just Being Real. Okay, so I will. My favourite things to play. Oh, it's warm.
Great playing for Anne there, so big hand for Anne Nicol once again. Now, as Jodie alluded to when he was speaking about Joe, that there was various combinations of Joe, Jodie, Jam, Scott, and latterly with myself. In the last year, from January 23 to January 24, Joe took great delight in telling me that him and Jodie and me were embarking on a 12-month tour. I meant to tell folk there's only actually 4 gigs in that year. But that one went, he says, we're in the middle of this year-long tour we're doing. Well, it was actually 5 if you could, the impromptu thing we did at Lockney. So, now this, the last act of the first half, great pals at Joe and Pat's, and often stay with them at the Kirrie Festival. And a few years ago, they very kindly invited us all down, and I was Joe and Pat, Matt and Grace Johnson, Jim and Kate Taylor, Jodie Joyce Mearson, and Rona, my dear wife, and myself. So just to let you care how the petting order really went. When we got there, so Joe and Pat, they had the best bedroom. And then everybody else in a decent bedroom. And when it comes to us, we hope you didn't mind, but we've put a black bed in the wardrobe. So I kid that Joe was up there and I was down there. I didn't mind, we had a great weekend and great friends. So please welcome Alan and Carol Pryor.
Thanks for that, Alan. You're dead right, it was. But what you didn't mention was it was a hell of a big wardrobe. But right enough, the heats were still looking up at the bottoms of coats and jackets and things, just to fit them in.
But they were the youngest, so they were fittest.
They were deemed to be the youngest and fittest, which is why. Anyway, enough of that. We first came across Joe and Pat, I think at Keith Festival. Keith Festival's got an awful lot to answer for. We met them first there, along with all the drinking pals of me. Willie Fraser, the Mackenzie brothers, Tam Reid, and Anne. And I met Anne running up the road, and she says, "Have you seen Mike Thomas?" And I says, no, not. I says, aye, I did see him down at the Royal a while ago. That would be about 20 minutes ago. Oh, Christ, I'll go. Bloody get a hoodie up, and she went away bustling down the road. I don't know whether she found him yet, because there were a lot of ducking and diving, went along different pubs and back rooms at the hotels and stuff. So it was great fun, great times. I say they were drinking buddies. It was the singing and the music and all that. With the odd drama side. And we at the time were living down south, and I didn't mean Peebles, I mean like right down south. And one of the easiest festivals for us to get to at the time was down on the south coast of Devon, a place called Sidmouth. And after a wee bit of chivying and stuff, it ended up that someone booked down there as guests. And just cutting an awful long story short, because it could go on and on and on, and I can go, shut up. We were in this pub in Sidmouth, which is where everybody went at lunchtime if you wanted to hear traditional singing. And the pub was called The Volunteer. And we were the bit of the bar, there was like 2 halves of the bar, and the bit of the bar where the singing was going on was absolutely stuffed full of folk. You could hardly get a fag paper between folk. We were all in there like that, and I was leaning up against the bar. Carl was right in front of me, and the singing was going great style and all that. And the next minute, the barman slid this whiskey over to me and said, "That's for you." And I said, "I didn't know." I said, "Where'd that come from?" He says, "Gentleman at the other side of the bar." And here was Joe and Geordie grinning.
And needless to say, the Whisky Olympics continued the entire week.
The Whisky Wars in the Volunteer commenced. So, of course, I had to get them drams back, and then other drams come back. And I used to go in there at lunchtime and only drink beer and sing songs. Well, by the end of the session, I could hardly sing. And after 2 days, the owner says, I've had to go into the cash and carry and get another bottle of Glenlivet. And on day 3, when we got the whiskies up, they suddenly appeared in beautiful crystal glasses. So that was how that went. Anyway.
By the end of the week, Alan was late arriving at the session one day, and he come running and he says, "Oh, have you got that? Has Joe and George got a whiskey?" I says, "It's all right. I've already glenned them." And they were looking very happy and toasting us from the other end of the bar, and then Geordie looked much too happy, but considering he was supposed to go off and run a very serious Greek ballad workshop straight after that. Happy days.
Right, sorry about the technology, but...
You'll ken this, so get love it. I ken you never like a glass to and dune, for the skull design as cryas, and they try to bring us down, and it's hard to raise the beatings in a single free box room, but I'll take you on the road again, when you're on the room, when you're on the room, when you're on the room, I'll take you on the road again, when you're on the room. The scaldies cries tinker that, and scones to bairns in school. But what cares what a scaldie thinks, for a scaldie's but a fool. They never hear the Orland song, nor see the flaxen bloom, for they're cooped up in the seas, when you're on the broom, when you're on the broom, when you're on the broom, they're cooped up in the seas, when you're on the broom. They sail for beds or baskets new, so just to stay alive. I've had to work at scaldy jobs, for 9 o'clock to 5. Bottle corny bar they start, for we own the world's room, and we'll bid farewell to we can, when you're on the broom, when you're on the broom, when you're on the broom, we'll bid farewell to we can, when you're on the broom. Whom we for the springtime, when we take the road and snare, to the plantain and the pear, and the berry fields of Blair, where we meet up with kinfolk, fair the country round, and the gathered folk take the road
Scott, we've been backstage for tell him, we've got hell second half, so just 20 minutes, be quick. But there's raffles still for sale, there's t-shirts for sale, the bar's open, but dinna worry, because the bar will be open again after the concert for a wee Friday, and I'll see you back, well I'm going to see you back here, Mr. Alan Taylor, see you back here in the second half. Since I was a wee bairn and watching and hearing Joe singing, but the biggest honour was when I got to inherit the role, very, very important role, of Kirrie Festival social media manager, i.e. the Facebook page. And so Joe and I had arranged that time, and we'd go on a phone and would Google how to do this Facebook page thing so that I could make the posts and stuff. And we were a bit like Tweedledum and Tweedledee, trying to suss this out, or maybe the Chuckle Brothers, to me to you, to me to you. And we got to the very last step, for Joe needed to put in his password to confirm the change. And he said, well, I can't mind my blooming password. So a couple of days later, Scott comes round to Pat and Joe's house, and Scott and I are emailing, and we're going, could it be? Try Herr Staretti. But mind, you need numbers these days, so change the A's to the 4s and the O to a 0. No, that didn't work. That'd be 2 gadgies. There we go, 2 gadgies. There we go, and we were sorted. So the song I'm going to sing the next, I had to learn just over a year ago for a concert I was singing at. And I like to learn off of hearing folk singing, so I was like, have I heard singing this? I'm sure Joe sings this. I came for a really good source to hear things, and it's Ian Anderson's YouTube channel. Had a recording of Joe singing this, and I checked earlier on, it's got 35,000 views, and I think about 30,000 of them's me trying to learn this song. So generations have changed. My father was a bailey frae a wee town near Kepley. He rocked on the grun a the days o' his life. By the time he made second, I swore he reckoned he'd glued near on half o' the East Newco 5. He feed on Edgar Anderson, Crawhill and Cliffington, Cambo and Canby and Beckbenny Hill. In King's Bands he's married, at both hells he's buried, but man, had he lived, he'd be gluing on still. For those days were his days, those ways were his ways, to follow the glue while his back was still strong. But those days will pass and the times come at last, for the weakness of age to make way for the young. I was never gluing to the sea, I was going to follow the fish and the fishermen's ways. Rain, hail or sunshine, I watched the long run line, nae man mair contented his hill working days. I lang lined the flat and gram, the Dutch and the Docker bank, pulled the big fish for the deep devil's hole. I side-trailed our Shetland, the Faroes and Iceland, in weather much worse than a body could throw. For those days were my days, those ways were my ways, to follow the fish while my back was still strong. But those days have passed and the times come at last, for the weakness of age to make way for the young. My sons, they have grown and away they have flown, in search of Black Isle in the far northern sea. Like oilmen they walk and like Yankees they talk, there's no much in common between my sons and me. They've rough-rigged on Josephine's, Forties and Ninian, Dunlan and Claymore and Fisher and Dog. They make fortunes for sure, for on one run ashore they spend more than I earned in a whole season's work. For these days are their days, these ways are their ways, to ride the rough rig while their backs are still strong. But these days will pass and the time come at last, for the weakness of age to make way for the young. My grandsons are growing, to the school they're seen going, the long weeks o' summer they spend here with me. We walk through the warm days, talk o' the old ways, the cornfields, the codfish, the land and the sea. We walk through the fields that my father instilled, talk with the old men that he sailed with me. Man, it's been awfully good, I showed them all I could, the past and the present, what the future might be. For the morn will be their day, what will be their way, what will they make of their land, sea and sky. Man, I've seen awfully change, but it still seems gay strange to look at the world through a young laddie's eyes. I was clearly awfully eager to get singing there because I realised I've buggered up the whole order. I was meant to start the second half, and it was about halfway through that I'm going, it was meant to be John Dixon.
I thought she was giving me a message here being first. Everybody's talked about how they met Joe, and I was later in a lot of them meeting Joe. It was 2011. I first met Joe really well. He was a judge at Elgin competition, and I'd won the year before in somewhere, I can't remember. And I was at Elgin, and Joe was the judge, and Joe picked me as the winner, so I was fairly pleased about that. In fact, I was always pleased when Joe was a judge, because he gave somebody else a chance to win. So, this is a song that I remember every time I sing it, I think of Joe, because he was the judge and picked, and it gave me a lot of encouragement to sing in more competitions. This is a Bothy ballad called The Bonnie Braes o' Canary. Come along, my Jean, where hae you been? Come see your blue boy laddie. You'll know the lang, I'll sing you a song. The Bonnie Braes o' Canary, Bonnie Braes o' Canary. She's a bonny quine and a wee long mind. The first time that I saw her, she's a kitschy dame in all lane. So came out fae my chumma, says I to the lass as she tried to bath. Fit like this bonny even. She said I'm fine if you didn't mind. Side time I was moving. Come along, my Jean, where hae you been? Come see your blue boy laddie. You'll know the lang and I'll sing you a song. The Bonnie Braes o' Canary, Bonnie Braes o' Canary. Oh, summer long when my head was wrong, I chased her like a doggy. With a wink and a smile she did beguile this gaping blue boy rogie. Oh, I loved her too, I called her my do. We used to go on a wooing. She'd cut him a lug, give my nose a rug. I chased her round the cooing. Come along, my Jean, where hae you been? Come see your blue boy laddie. You'll know the lang and I'll sing you a song. The Bonnie Braes o' Canary, Bonnie Braes o' Canary. Well, the summer scene was all but done. I feared I'd have to leave her, for the man in me couldn't agree a fee. My turn I had to save her. As I crossed the years, when I heard my turtle do a blaring. You'll wait on me, cause I'm going to next June we'll hear the bearing. Come along, my Jean, where hae you been? Come see your blue boy laddie. You'll know the lang and I'll sing you a song. The Bonnie Braes o' Canary, Bonnie Braes o' Canary. Well, now I'm old and my feet gone cold, I still look back with pleasure to Canary Braes in my younger days, where I met my Jean, my treasure. Through thick and thin, we've ice stuck in, a few bad words were spoken, though a doubt is old, it's never called when I come home fae the yoking. Come along, my Jean, where hae you been? Come see your blue boy laddie. You'll know the lang and I'll sing you a song. The Bonnie Braes o' Canary, the Bonnie Braes o' Canary.
Our next singer is a more up and coming, I'd say. It's Bothy ballad singer to the scene, but he has made quite the entrance, given that in about his second year of competing, he won the Champion of Champions Elgin. And he's got a dual role the neck because he's a want to come up and sing for us, but he's also doing other sound for us. So he's not sitting on stage playing on his iPad, he's not playing Candy Crush, don't worry. It is none other than Paddy Buchanan.
Thank you, Natalie. I've got a high score in Space Invaders there, it's pretty good. I first met Joe many years, well, not many years, but more years than I'd care to count, when I was a barman cum sound engineer at the Blue Lamp, and he would quite regularly come and sing, most often as a trio with likes of Geordie Murison and Jim Taylor, known sometimes as the Three Fivers, and left quite an impression on me. Well, this just popped into my head this evening. I remember Geordie invited me to his famous Craigie Cat Hogmanay 2019, and I think that's the first time I met Joyce properly as well. And Joe, Geordie and Jim were asked singing the Kelty Clippy, and then there had been a few drams teen, and somebody forgot the words, and I knew the next verse, so I ended up singing with the Three Fivers. And I felt like I dug with twa tales. And as I was encouraged into the unaccompanied singing and the Bothy ballads, Joe was he was a true gentleman, great guy to speak to, inspirational singer, brilliant voice, and he's sadly missed. So I'd like to sing Princey and Jean for you now, and I'm gonna cheat and okay, here we go. I'll sing ye a song o' canty old buddy. I ken speckle figure was all watty brown. A trustworthy hand at the mains of Drumcloddy. Syne the day he began to work there as a loon. And syne there as Bailey he proved himself canny, his work conscientious, particular and clean. Till a day his master says, "Watty, my money, you'll take the third pair, there can't Princey and Jean." Now in a bonny Scotland there was na a human say happy as Watty we has dandy pair, and he seen held his ain with the lave as a bloomin', and oh he was proud o' his gelding and mare. A grand pair of blacks, neither likes in a hunter, with coats so rich glossy ebony sheen. And at gluing matches for years worthy winner was Watty for grooming wi' Princey and Jean. Now Watty I bided, content wi' his duties, but life's full o' changes as abody kens. Decrepit tall age claimed the baith of his beauties, and tractors began to appear at the mains. Now a steering wheel Watty just would not be gripping. If rocked as an horseman did not complain, but Aberdeen noticed down hill he was slipping, down hill he was pining for Princey and Jean. And now he's awa, his trachels are ended, a God-fearing body findeth his best. His life was a sermon, the mourners are kented. On Tuesday last week, fan we laid him to rest. And we had a thought, though we did not divulge it, as we hankies we dab it, the tears failing, that if he was born in a manger, say wills it, they'll be waiting for Watty, his Princey and Jean. Thank you.
I'm in here and I just got goosebumps at that. So another hand for Paddy Buchanan. You think Bothy ballads are in great hands when I'm on a stage with John Dixon and Paddy Buchanan, and then just the sheer honour sharing the stage with the next performer that needs very little introduction, one of the finest fiddlers, Paul Anderson.
Thank you, Natalie. Tell you, if you wear a kilt, I think I might be the only kilt tonight. One of the first things you learn is how to sit in a kilt on a stage. Pat's right in the line of sight, so I didn't want to scandalise the whole event. I mean, I was 13 at the Bothy Fiddle Accordion Club, and there was an accordion player was the guest, and he was sitting in his kilt, and he was fair keeping time with the music. I first played in here in 1981 at the Angus Fiddle Festival, and I suppose after that I used to go to festivals with the Mayfield players, the Bankeries to Spain Reel, and Keith Folk Festival. You'd be trailed out of the place. I was 13 when I first went there, and the folk like Bill Smith, you'd be up at 1 in the morning at the Blue. And you'd have had about 3 different things on that night. It's quite an eye-opening experience for a young loon, I have to say. Mid-street on a Saturday night. I didn't like saucers walking up there. So I can't even really mind when I first would have met Joe, but we must have been at festivals and concerts near hundreds of times. And I haven't really got any good anecdotes. I've just got... It's like a generic sense of fun. You can, when you're on these events, it's just a lot of laughter, a lot of smiles, and that's kind of how I think Joe, quite apart from his singing, but it's like all these friends, they're like family that you meet, and it's just a kind of joyous overall sensation. But there's a couple of things I would say, I'll take it down to one, and it's short. It was mentioned about the Rudolstadt Festival. Now, this is the only anecdote I can mind about Joe, and it's not for lack of trying, but we went out the Saturday night after we'd finished, and we took Gillibridge Macmillan to the whisky bar, and we got him through. And I don't think Gillibridge had ever experienced anything quite like it. He didn't like saucers, but he was like that when he came out. So he, after that, I don't kind of inspired him, but he ended up in Outlander as the bard, so I don't kind of he's ever touched whiskey since, but that's about the only thing I would probably say, but the great company. So I'm going to play the lovely Glens of Angus, and then I'm going to play, it's not a tune I really play, but it felt appropriate. It's got the Laird of Thrums, which is a Strathspey by Scott Skinner, and then we'll think of something else after that.
gentlemen, some more for Paul Anderson, John Dixon, Paddy Buchanan, and Natalie Chalmers. Absolutely superb start to the second half. We're sitting through there listening to Paul playing a lovely Glenn's Angus. You could just see Joe at his various best singing the song. Brilliant. Now, Natalie said that Paul didn't need much introduction, and that kind of reminded me of one Sunday afternoon at the Kirrie Thistle Club for the Sunday afternoon at the festival. And Joe was co-parent, as usual, and he got up and he just said, this next guy is a singer, doesn't need any introduction, and he walked off the stage. That was me. But he didn't tell me he was going to do it. Anyway, so great fun, great memories. And so your next MC for the next part is a wonderful singer, folklorist, and somebody that's been to many, many festivals with Joe. Please welcome Margaret Bennett.
Thank you very much. What a fabulous night. It's wonderful. I'm sure I'm not the only one who walked through the door and saw this photo and just wanted to speak to him, go and give him a hug. And all those wonderful stories. I did begin to think, well, I'm not in my dotage yet, but I definitely think now I'm in my anecdotage. With all the stories we're hearing tonight, and it's absolutely wonderful. I suppose I must go back about, maybe Pat would help me here, 40 years ago maybe. It's been, and where did those years go? But they've all been blessed with the most wonderful companionship, music, songs. Life would be very impoverished without all this, and I just want to thank you all for being part of that. It's just wonderful. Well, the first singer we've got up tonight is Doug Hay, and I know this is somebody who's singing that Joe enjoyed. Please welcome Doug Hay.
The great and the good that I hear, the man himself looking down on us, and me that were alone. What an honour, what an absolute honour. Anyway, I had a wee thing to up my back the other night here, and the other day here, and I was lying in my bed, off uncomfy, and believe it or no, I didn't get why, but Joe was in my dream, and I woke up, and I wrote a very little poem, and it was the day we said cheery out to him, and we was all standing there, and the wee pair of wind and the cherry blossom come flickering down on top of us all, and it's never left me, and it'll stick with me till the day I go and join Joe. So, we stayed with you on April day, your long last rest to hay, where thoughts we had, where heeds are bowed, near a soon come fae the crude. Yon day was still a blink of sun, syne you kettled up a berry of wind, to let us ken you are still there, where hearts to be forevermore. Yon cherry blossom petals, a song on each and all, come floating down, say soft and fright, our een and a sure of snar. That's a song I left Joe singing. A Whitsuntide in Huntly tune, 'twas there I did agree. We all boogie side o' Kiarney, a Saxman for the fee. Now I'll boogie with a surly Carl, and that I ken too well, that he had a bonny daughter and her name was Isabel. New Bell, she was the bonniest lass in all the countryside, and very soon I lost my hair to the bell o' boogie side. Far off times on a summer's night, I'd wander wi' my dear, to watch yon truties loupen, aye on boogie's waters clear. Nu wheel a kent I was nae match for Bogey's bonny bell. Whene'er she turned her e'e on me, she cast me in a spell. Well, I tried in vain to bide a wa, when it come to eventide, but in my dreams I'd walk wi' her down by sweet Bogey's side. 'Twas round about the term time, old Bogey sent for me, and he said wi' a face as black as nacht, it's you I want to see. For if it my daughter says is true, then we can nae longer gree, and it's down the road you'll gang without a halfpenny o' your fee. Says I, old man, you're fairly recht, I hang my head in shame, but I will marry Bell the morn and gie to her my name. Well, he cursed and he swore, and in his rage he said that rather he would see his daughter lying dead than marry unto me. Though I was but a pluming lad, I thought he was gay sair. Though hard it was the part we had, I didna say nae mair. I just packed my cast and left the tune. Peer Bell I didna see, and I was that mad I never saw the wages due to me. But now she's wad at Dinkler Shield, his nickname Souder John. She hawks his pans and roos her eye, around be foggy lone. Nu they say all Bogey roos the day that he did rave and yell. It was me that had the first wee night, oh Bogey's bonny bell. Thank you, Joe. Well done.
Great songs. Scott gave us a choice of one song each, and he said, just choose whatever song you want. And so it wasn't really very difficult. And I'd like to sing this for Pat. It's one that always, I never did really manage to just say Joe Aitken. I say Pat and Joe, Joe and Pat, a bit like salt and pepper, sugar and cream. Most of you like that? I think you probably are. So this is Sweet Forget-Me-Nots. And there's a little bunch of forget-me-nots down there. And joining's got a great chorus. That's the other reason for singing it. So I want to hear you all. Fancy brings a thought to me of a flower bright and fair. Her grace and beauty both combine, more lovely and more rare. Like a maiden I once knew, who shared my happy lot, where we parted when she whispered, you'll forget me not. She's graceful and she's charming, like the lilies in the pond. and all along the lane I gently took her tiny hand, a glance at me she shot. She dropped a flower, I picked it up, 'twas a sweet forget-me-not. She's graceful and she's charming, like the lilies in the pond. Time was gliding swiftly by, of her I'd grown so fond. The roses and the daisies, they bloom around the spot where we parted, when she whispered, "You'll forget me not." Then there came a happy day when something that I said caused her lips to mumble yes, and shortly we were wed. Now a cottage down a lane in a little garden spot grows a flower, you know it well, 'twas a sweet forget-me-not. She's graceful and she's charming, like the lilies in the pond. Time was gliding swiftly by, of her I'd grown so fond. The roses and the daisies, they bloom around the spot where we parted, when she whispered, "You'll forget me not." Now I'm quite excited to be announcing the next performer, because I'm going to confess that I've been a sort of a groupie on the wireless, you know, on the Scottish country dancing, yes, even from goodness knows when. And I heard myself saying after we were introduced tonight, "I have a CD of yours," I said, like your typical groupie. Anyhow, please welcome Gordon Fiddle.
Thanks very much, Margaret. I'd like to start with a tune I composed a few years back, and the thoughts behind the tune, it was written with thoughts of farming life way back before mechanisation, the time with the Clydesdale horses and the plough. And of course that's a time that Joe sang about many occasions in his songs. And I'll be thinking about Joe, especially tonight when I play this tune, The Furrow's End.
I'm only born for television. Now you know why he's on the wireless and why he's got folk in the kitchens dancing on a Saturday night. And now I'm going to tell people, I met this guy. So there you are, that was fantastic. Well, we have 3 wonderful singers and they're all fantastic as well. Janice, I think you and I met in the 70s. Should we confess that? Anyway, when I heard her sing, I thought, wow, now there's a voice. And then, listen, it was the same with all of them at different times. 3 wonderful singers, Janice Clark, Barbara Dimmock, Aileen Carr, and they formed a group called Chorus. Now, I love singing together and I love choruses, but they put a whole new meaning on this. New spelling too, I believe. But anyhow, please welcome Chorus.
Oh yeah, we were trying to think of little anecdotes, well the one's clean enough to tell you anyway, about fun with Joe. And my one was from judging a TMSA singing competition in Aberdeen. It'd been about 10 years ago. I don't remember the exact year. And Joe and I we were judging the traditional singing, and you know they run the ladies' competition and the men's competition together, which makes it more interesting, I think. Anyway, this person who I won't name got up and sang, I'm not joking, a 17-minute version of Militivity Zanny, yeah, which is a song I love actually, but 17 minutes was just more than I think either of us could thole. And I was looking at Joe outside of my eye and he was sort of slumping down in and a pal of mine told me I'd slid under the desk, that my feet were just sliding under the desk. And when the applause happened after thankfully this song ended, Joe turned to me and whispered into my ear, well, I'm marking him down for judge abuse.
Alan Taylor was talking about he was introduced as the man who needs no introduction, and that was it. Well, Joe one time introduced me as this is Barbara Dimmock, she's from Dundee. I always find that the best view of Dundee is the one you get in your rear view mirror when you're driving towards Perth. Harsh but fair.
And who knows what he said about me. Right, we're going to sing a song, and we're not actually going to sing a traditional song, although that's probably what we're best known for, but we've chosen to sing this song really because of the sentiments within the song. It's about coming together. Unison and Harmony is the name of the song, and one bit of the song says, what we sing is what we are, and raise the rafters till they're beyond repair, and that's really what we'd like you to do tonight. It's not got a chorus as such, but every 4th line is repeated 2 or 3 times, and then the last line is repeated, and you're going to catch on really quickly. Unison and Harmony. Soaring skywards, leaping sideways, do or die words cleave the air. Joy and laughter, mornings after, raise the rafters, we don't care. If the roof's beyond repair, raise the rafters, raise the rafters, raise the rafters, we don't care.
until nations cease to be. Unison in harmony until nations cease to be. Unison in harmony, soaring skywards, leaping sideways, do or diewards, cleave the air. Joy and laughter, mornings after, raise the rafters, we don't care. If the roof's beyond repair, raise the rafters, raise the rafters, raise the rafters, we don't care. If the roof's beyond repair.
Wow, was that just brilliant chorus there. And so, a big hand for Doug Hay, Margaret Bennett, Ely Carr, Barbara Dimmick, Fiddle, and of course, brilliant music by Fiddle. I'm also going to say that you might not ken this, but in Joe's CD, Festival Favourites, the song called Robbie about the horse was written by Gordon as well. And it's the only song he's ever written, so brilliant. Right, this is the part of the evening you've all been waiting for. It's the announcement of the raffle. So they'll get a bit of lights up so you can see. Leading this as MC will be somebody, well, I need to say a wee bit about what Scott has done to get this night to be the fantastic night that it's been. Because the amount of work that Scott has put in. Scott had contacted other people that are performing the night, the emails, to keep it up to right, sorting out who was there and what, singing fit songs and booking a hall and getting up to organised for everything else that's happened. It's just been one massive effort for this young gentleman. So I think we should really give a really big... I will hand over to Mr. Scott Garner.
Thanks, Alan. Just, would you mind repeating the raffle numbers? Well, we're on the sort of last group of performers, and we've started off with a group very... Well, I can't remember Kirrie music without these lads either for By Joe, and the great supporters of the Kirrie Festival and of all Joe's various concert parties and Christmas parties and stuff. So would you please put your hands together for the Downies plus Ralph Neve.
Yeah, we've actually known Joe and Pat all our lives. We're all born and bred in Kirrie. And, you know, Joe and Pat have marked many of the milestones in our family, from christenings to weddings to birthday parties to ruby weddings. We'll not speak about that one, so we'll Pat, with red wines and the incident of the Christmas tree. So, but Joe and Pat have been, as I say, part of our lives. Joe has particularly given us a huge amount of encouragement through our musical journey, through festivals, concerts, ceilidhs, etc., caravan parties, to name a few. Joe used to speak about Strichen when we came back from Strichen Festival, and we'd tell folk what great fun we'd had, but only those in the know really understand how much fun you can have over 3 days in a caravan, in a field, in Strichen. In memory of Joe, I've written a wee tune, which we're going to play tonight. And after that, there's a few marches that we like to play, which there's plenty of room in the aisles. If you want to do a gig ordinance, please get up and join in. But first of all, a wee tune that I wrote, and it's called "Cat Was White Be Sna."
The Chinese are off beat. That's great. And they're going to be finishing off the concert just shortly, but we're going to have a wee bit more singing, and it's me next. I'm going to sing you one that I mind Joe kind of learning actually singing for the first time. He'd heard Charlie Murray singing it, Charlie from just down at Craigies down the road there, and Charlie had sadly passed away before he'd had the chance to get the words, and he got the words in the end for Dennis Finlay, another guy who was biding local at the time. And I'll just give the standard Joe Aitken introduction to it. It's about the chances you had with women when you were just far too young to appreciate them. It's called I Wish They'd Do It Now. I was born of Scottish parentage one day when I was young. That's why the Scottish dialect became my mother tongue. I was the image of my father, so my mother used to vow. And the girls all came and kissed me. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. And the girls all came and kissed me. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. When I was only 6 months old, the girls would cuddle me. They'd take me to their bosom and they'd bounce me on their knee. They'd rock me in the cradle too, and if I made a row, then they'd take me into bed with them. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. And they'd take me into bed with them, and I wish they'd do it now. At 14 years of age, a finer lad could not be seen. The girls would come and take me out to play upon the green. They'd make the finest daisy chains tear up around my brow, and they'd roll me in the clover. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. And they'd roll me in the clover. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Those same girls would come and take me out to play when it was mild. Down to the river we would go and run about so wild. They'd splash the water over me and dip me like a yow, and they'd tickle me all over. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. And they'd tickle me all over. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Again. Thanks, guys. Well done. Nice. We're going to have a song from, well, Shona and her folks are great pals of Joe and Pat and the extended Aitken family, and Shona is a fantastic singer of traditional songs and Bothy ballads. And after Shona, just to let you in, we're going to have all of the Bothy singers up to do a song, an unaccompanied song, and then we're going to finish with I've Never Been to Kirrie, which we're inviting all the performers tonight up to come, and if you didn't ken the chorus, then you can just move your lips and say it. I've been in that situation a few times myself, so we'll just see. We've got video evidence tonight, so we'll see how we go. But yeah, please put your hands together for Shona Donaldson.
started singing when I was about 14 and going round the festivals. And I really got involved very heavily with the TMSA. And I didn't mean the Traditional Music and Song Association of Scotland, I mean the Taylors, Murisons, Shearers and Aitkens. So I really have grown up we are that lot. And I mean, when Paul and I got together, they were at our wedding, and then Hector, our eldest, was going to be 18 next week. He was at his first Keith Festival at 6 Wixall, and they've just grown up kenning Granny Pat and Granda Joe. So there's a lot of stories I could tell. I probably shouldn't. I said, please dinner. I'll leave it at that. So I'm going to sing Mary of Argyll. I have heard them ever singing as a love song till the morn. I have seen that you that up clinging to the rose just newly born. But a sweeter song has cheered me at this evening's gentle close, and I've seen an eye still brighter than that you did upon the rose. 'Twas thine voice, my gentle Mary, and thine artless winning smile that has made this world an Eden. Bonny Mary of Argyll, though thy voice may lose its sweetness, and thine eye its brightness too, though thy step may lack in fleetness, and thine hair its sunny hue, still to me wilt thou be dearer than all the world shall own. I have loved thee for thy beauty, but not for that alone. I have watched thine heart, dear Mary, and its goodness was the while that has made thee mine forever. Bonny Mary of Argyll.
Thanks, sir. Wow. Was that just a fantastic song? So a big hand again for Sarah, Yvonne, Lindsay, Downey, Bothy, Shona Donaldson, and Mr. Scott Gardner. Right, I would just like to ask on what the Scott has termed in the emails the Bothy Massif, which is a lot of the singers you've seen already, but with 3 extra folk. We've got Sandra Bain, Moira Stewart, and Ian Taylor join us, and we're all going to sing, led by the first verse with Shona and Scott, the Barnyards of Delgety. So let's hear you sing.
That's it. So everyone has paired up. There's no enough verses, So everyone's got a Bothy buddy to do a verse, mate. Do you want to do that, Mike? Sure. This one. Are you tall enough for us, Mike? So, if you're up for a signing, that would be great. In New dear parish I was born, a child, a youth, the Methodist came. Gin you no believe a word the session clerk'll say the same. Lintonani, Turanani, Lintonani, Turani, Linton, Lauren, 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 the Baron Yards and Elgin. As I come in be Netherdeal at Market 40 fee, I fell in me a farmer chiel for the Baron Yards and Elgin tea. Lintonani, Turanani, Lintonani, Turani, Linton, Lauren, 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 the Baron Yards and Elgin tea. He promised me this 12 best horse, it was the 12th best horse I'd ever seen. But I get into the Baron Yard, there was nothing there but skin and mane. Lintonani, Turanani, Lintonani, Turani, Linton, Lauren, 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 the Baron Yards and Elgin tea. They all got lost and puddings rum, they all weary and their wine. For all that I could up and cry, the wind and rise in York and time. Lintonani, Turanani, Lintonani, Turani, Linton, Lauren, 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 the Baron Yards and Elgin tea. Meg McPherson, Max McBrose, it's me and Harry agreed. Fast the mock and sign and not, and I the Argel of Bree. Lintonani, Turanani, Lintonani, Turani, Linton, Lauren, 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 the Baron Yards and Elgin tea.
The Jeerick, she marks my bed, she lies atween me and the wa. She strikes down my collie paws, but hell, laddie's gonna Lintonani, Turanani, Lintonani, Turani, Linton, Lauren, 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 the Baron Yards and Elgin tea. When I done did a kirk on Sunday, money's a bonny lass as me, sitting by her father's side, winking out and abusing me. Lintonani, Turanani, Lintonani, Turani, Linton, Lauren, 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 the Baron Yards and Elgin tea. Some can drink and they can drunk, some can fecht and they be slave, but I can court and never man's house. I will welcome to my Lintonani, Turanani, Lintonani, Turani, Linton, Lauren, 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 Baron Yards and Elgin tea. McConnell knew it is from truth, sisters really on the way. So here you will get Baron Yard, they'll never last a year again. Lintonani, Turanani, Lintonani, Turani, Linton, Lauren, 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 the Baron Yard and Elgin tea. Lintonani, Turanani, Lintonani, Turani, Linton, Lauren, 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 the Baron
Brilliant! Thank you to all the Bothy folk. And just while we're gathering everyone in a boot for never been to Kirrie, I'm just going to give you a few thank yous. There's so many people to thank, and I think I've written them all down in this bit of paper. Firstly, I'd like to thank the Aitken family. They're all sitting up here in front of us. The been brilliant. You've all been so supportive and helpful. Just the folk here in the hall and with the council, and we've actually the organisation of this concert has gone on for so long that we've lived through 2 hall keepers, 2 prime ministers, and shortly to be 2 popes. So we've seen them all. And up singing as one of the Bothy guys was Paddy Buchanan, and Paddy's looked after all the technical side of things today. He's been here. He's had a very early yoking, so a big hand for Paddy for all his hard work. And also to all our helpers. We've got so many folk helping, particularly the stewards who you've seen with their dapper white badges on. And they've been pointing you out at the right seats and selling you raffle tickets, and really could not have done it without them. Most of them come along to the festival every year and help there. So a big hand to all the helpers, please. And to the Rotary Club, who have been invaluable. They've just run the whole bar over the course of the night, and I think they're going to be doing it for a wee bit after the concert finishes. So please thank you to Glands and Angus Rotary Club. Our committee here, the Kirrie Festival, it's about 9 strong, and they've all been great as well. So thanks to the committee, and to the wider TMSA in general. We've had great support from particularly the branches up in Keith who have been videoing the concert, Colin, and Aberdeen, who support everything we do, and Edinburgh and Lothians who made our bra banner of Joe. Thanks to Fiona for that. And the raffle, well, tell you, originally we weren't going to be having a raffle, but we faced an immediate public backlash. We had about 60 prizes, and despite the fact that we put 100% tariff on the tickets, I reckon we must have raised about £1,500. So a big thank you to everyone who donated prizes and bought the tickets. Now, the money that we've raised from the concert tickets and the raffle is going to charities nominated by the Aitken family. I tell you, it probably takes a shorter time to decide who the new Pope's going to be then they just consider this decision so great, and they wanted to support local charities here in the town of Kirrie because they felt that that was a great thing to do. So the money's going to be divvied up between the guides, the scouts here in Kirrie, and the Regeneration Fund and the Christmas lights. So they'll all be getting a cheque. Now, all our performers, look at them all. I've never seen so many waistcoats in the one place. Everyone we asked was so up. There was a handful of folk who had other gigs or whatever the night, so they couldn't come. But everyone else, they would have been here if they'd been able to do it. And I think I'd like to thank particularly our wonderful MCs, Natalie and Alan, who have done such a great job of keeping us all on the road. And of course yourselves, if you haven't been mentioned already, a big thank you to yourselves. And what about one big round of applause for this man here, Mr. Joe Aitken. Thanks for everything, Joe. And every afternoon, every Sunday afternoon during the festival, we finish off with, if you've never been to Kirrie, going into at least one of Joe's favourite tunes. And we have got the Aitken family to sing the lead on this song, and everybody else will be joining in the choruses. So if the Aitken family would like to step forward to the microphones, that's the thing to do. George Aitken, oh, they're all here. Oh. A big round of applause.
laughing about getting ready here, I'll just say a couple of words about Joe. I worked with Joe for more than half my life. We worked together, and we had our ups and downs. I remember what you were speaking to him earlier on the night. Jim Edgar there once said to me, "I said, why you never fouled?" And the answer to that was, well, we do, but we just have to fire again and get on with it. And we worked together in the field, and we knelt together in front of the bank manager's desk. I always remember once, maybe it was the same year, we were called in to see the accountant in the end of year books, and he's going through that and he came up, "Wow, she looks like Mr. Head. Now you're doing on last year, and this year you haven't made as much as that," and the next thing. And Joe sat and listened to it for a while, and he says to him, "Aye, but we've been ever happy." That was just Joe, didn't hassle me with figures and things like that. And I'm getting a lot of stricken this weekend. Anyway, can you fetch him out, Scott? No?
What's a good idea? When I was in Sicily, and leaving London shore, I met another Scotsman with a big funny sword. He asked me over tables wide and lands across the sea. He was when he knew a tale which miles best to be. If he ever crossed the still isles or checked it once before, he learned to hear the cycle once we are thinking more. If there is anything in the place
Anecdotes. It's been a fantastic night. We can bite in the hall for a while after if you want to bite and hear leather, or if you want to collect your tea raffle prizes, that's the thing to do. But thanks so much for coming and supporting this event. I just have one last big round of applause for Joe and all the new staff.